What's up, y'all? This is Jason the Chiron once again, and today we talking about Venus and all the signs. So now, when we talking about Venus, you need to understand the influence of Venus is how one values or appreciates something. Okay, so how much you appreciate something shows how much you value it, which makes sense of the internal and external version of an influence of a planet in general. So when we're talking about Venus, how much you show your appreciation for whatever the subject matter is at hand is the external version. When it comes to how much value it has that you have within you, that's internal to make sense of how you'll go about appreciating something. Say, for example, you're a content creator and somebody gives you a compliment, then you'll be like, all right, thank you, right? But then say somebody gives you a camera that's more up to date, it has beautiful frames on it, it's adaptable with most imaging formats and things of that nature, then you'll make a content creator be like, oh my God, bro, thank you. Thank you. I'm never gonna forget this. You'll get a different level of appreciation, right? Now, if it's something that somebody values within, then you'll get that utmost level of value of appreciation that they have to give you majority of the time. If they don't value it at all, and say you just gave them like, couple bucks just do it, say it's $20, and they'll be like, okay, man, I appreciate that. Thank you, you know, stuff like that. It's just levels of value. Everything holds value, but some stuff has generic value, some stuff has individualistic value. So knowing your Venus placement is gonna help you understand more so like the things you've never experienced before that you'll end up probably crying and you'll be like, I'm so appreciative of this. You probably didn't know how much value it had, but if you know your value, your Venus placement, then you're gonna be like, oh, I see how I would value this, I would value that, or I value that, and you be able to actually fathom what that is. Say that there's somebody in your life, you know their Venus placement, and you watch this video to figure out how this stuff works, and excuse me, and you take note of the examples I give you, then say instead of giving somebody a physical gift, maybe you'll learn to tend to them in accordance to their Venus placement. Like if it's air, then it'll have to do with like relaying information, right? Or maybe information you could pass on to somebody else that can help put that person in a better place. That might work out, right? Like somebody's looking for a good job, you put in a good word for them, then they'll end up valuing the outcome of that, which is them being able to get the job they've always wanted, or something that correlates with their career and what will give them an opportunity to do something in the field that they desire and things of that nature. For example, other than that, say, let's keep it simple, like, hey, what you want for Christmas? And then you say, "Oh, I want a toy fire truck," and then you get that toy fire truck, you're gonna go nuts over it, right? While you might have that auntie who will give you like a video game, and you end up they come to realize like they're thinking, "Oh yeah, I got the best one," but that's just what they thought you value more. But if they looked into your chart, maybe that's just type stuff you're in. Maybe your Venus is in Taurus, so or it's in an earth sign, so you appreciate materialistic things. But then if somebody gives you like a video game that could correlate more with like Aquarius, and of course how they gave it to you, it's an association of something that most kids like, but this kid likes fire trucks. So let me go ahead and help y'all out with getting the best Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, or whatever the case may be. So first and foremost, let's get into the first sign in Venus. Venus in Aries. So when we're talking about Venus in Aries, we're talking about Venus valuing and appreciating cardinal fire. So valuing and appreciation, valuing and appreciating cardinal, initiating and creating fire, a point of view or expression. So now let's say we have a Venus in Aries in the scenario of, let's say, hmm, let's say we're talking about cars. We're at a car dealership and this Venus in Aries is looking for a car, right? So the Venus and Aries, they might be like, okay, look, I want a car that's gonna make the girls look at me like I'm that guy, make them think I'm Andrew Tate, make them think that I'm Yo Gotti, make them think that I'm um whatever. Like make them think that I'm a big deal, right? They're looking for people to initially see them a certain type of way, right? The first impression is everything. Now, Venus and Aries, they'll understand this concept a lot better than most signs, even though we all understand at the end of the day, they'll understand the origin of it. They'll understand the schematics of that type of situation, right? Now, let's say we have a Venus in Taurus, which Venus in Taurus, we have Venus valuing and appreciating fixed Earth. So Venus valuing and appreciating fixed, the fixation on Earth, structure, stability, and practicality. So if you put a Venus and Taurus in that same situation, say they're coming to look for a car, they might get a Honda Civic. Reason being they'll get a Honda Civic is because Honda Civics are good on gas. It's easy to find replacement parts for a Honda Civic. So at the end of the day, it plays out as a fixed structure, which is Taurus, right? So they were 9 times out of 10 aligned with a Honda Civic. Outside of all the rest of their placements as an individual placement, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's the car for me. I'm looking for cost efficiency up in this thing. I'm not trying to have to worry about having to switch this and that around and all of that on some Virgo stuff. I'm trying to have something I could depend on, right? A grounding that I could depend on. And if the gas prices go crazy, at least I could put $20 in my car and I have half a tank. Now, let's say we're talking about a Venus and Gemini. Now, if we're dealing with Venus and Gemini, we're dealing with Venus valuing and appreciating mutable air. So, Venus valuing and appreciating mutable, adaptable, and relatable air, thinking, communicating, and processing. Now, let's say that the Venus and Gemini overheard the Venus and Aries, and at first was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give me a fly card too. I'm gonna give me a fly card too. But then they overhear the Venus and Taurus making their purchase, and they like, ooh, cost efficiency. Oh man, hold on. They probably think about how the gas prices is fluctuating, going crazy, and these roads up in Houston, they all messed up. So it's like if something happened to like my car, if not the wheels, my car, then I'll be able to find replacement parts. They're relating to that thought process that's potentially going on with the Taurus. And if they were to talk to the Taurus, the Venus and Taurus, they're going to hear that type of information, which will make sense of why they adapted their thinking process in accordance to that situation. Venus and Gemini, mutable air, adapting and relating to thinking, communicating, or processing information. Now, if we're talking about Venus and Cancer, we're talking about Venus valuing and appreciating cardinal water. So we're talking about Venus valuing and appreciating cardinal, initiating and creating water, feelings, emotions, intuition. Now, let's say the Cancer chimes in and backs and supports the Venus and Gemini's um, viewpoint on it, even though it's reflected off of another. You could say the Taurus' viewpoint even. And it's like, oh, you know what, you know, that it would make me feel really comfortable to know that I have a car that's cost efficient. It's about feelings and it's about the initial feeling. And like it might come to them like, oh, like a oh moment. And they'll sit there like somebody was a guru over just making a smart financial decision because they value basically the sense of resonation that was displayed with the Taurus and their thought process that actually got them to make that better financial decision, especially in the way that how the economy's working today and things of that nature. So a more they'll value it so much that they'll more so take it to heart the fact that maybe that information was even relayed to them. They'll value it. The plays out a lot like a Venus and Gemini, how they'll value information or value just communicating and things of that nature. But it's like when it comes to Cancer, it's feelings based. It's like you played out as a display of intuition in a sense, or a sign even. That's how they'll see it. In contrast to Venus and Gemini seeing it as, oh, that aligns with common sense. That's a good point. Awesome. You know? So it's a difference in intention. I said this before in my last video, having to do with Mercury and all the signs. Check it out. So you shouldn't be skipping any of these videos. You should start from the sun and continue on. All right. So now, now we're building here. Now that we're in Venus and all signs. Now, when it comes to Venus and Leo, we're talking about Venus valuing and appreciating fixed fire. So now, if we're talking about Venus and Leo, this is valuing and appreciating fixed, which is a fixation on fire, a point of view or expression. So now, let's say the Venus and Leo comes into play, or is one of the salesmen, and they like, oh, I know that's right, Venus and Taurus, man, that's genius, man. You better focus on what's going on with this economy. I see that you're aware of what's going on in this economy. And matter of fact, the Venus and Leo, 9 times out of 10, is going to have a lot more questions for the Taurus when it comes to just life in general, because they see how they're able to balance out that, like, basically their values, and it makes sense. It's like common sense. And if a Venus and Leo was to come across that type of scenario where somebody did display good information, 9 times out of 10, if they had a reference of who they're going to reference to gain information from, it would be the individual who thought about cost efficiency. Now, also, there's the Leos in the world who want to be, they want to be flashy, of course. They might value being flashy. It depends on the rest of the planetary placements. You can't define somebody or put somebody in the box based off of just one planetary positioning or planetary placement. You can't do it. That's against astrology, okay? Everybody thinks that they got astrology pegged when they come with this point or whatever, but no, niggas just didn't know astrology at the end of the day. So now let's talk about Venus and Virgo. So we talking about Venus and Virgo, we're talking about valuing and appreciating mutable Earth. So Venus valuing and appreciating mutable, adaptable, and relatable Earth structure, stability, and practicality. So now let's say that the Venus in Virgo had a Bugatti. They got a Bugatti. But then they overhear the conversation that this Venus and Taurus happened to bring to the table. And now they sitting here like, man, that makes sense. That makes sense. I've been paying like $1,000 a month on just trying to fill my gas tank. Trying to fill my gas tank or whatever. Let me bring it down. Let's say $200, $300 a month. Trying to fill my gas tank. 1,000 might have been close. I don't know. I don't have a Bugatti, but they sitting there, they're thinking about how, in contrast to them spending about $200, $300 a month on putting gas in their Bugatti, they could potentially be spending $100 a month just to put gas in their Honda Civic. So they're going to value the fact that they're able to adapt their circumstances for a better living scenario, or well, yeah, for a better living scenario. So they'll be able to adapt to the state of the economy, and they'll appreciate that specific thing. The fact that they actually have a way to adapt, a way to apply structure, stability, and practicality to the situation. They'll appreciate that. Now we're talking about Venus and Libra. We're talking about valuing and appreciating cardinal air. So when it comes to Venus and Libra, we are Venus valuing and appreciating cardinal, initiating and creating air, thinking, communicating, and processing. Now, let's say that a Venus and Libra comes to the table, or they come into this scenario, and they're like, okay, I get what all of y'all are saying. It makes sense that it's cost efficient. Like that makes sense. Cool. But have you guys ever thought about how much that you could make for trading in a Bugatti later in the future and stuff like that, since the pieces are hard to find? And if you just keep it up, like, have you guys ever thought about that? So they'll value thought-provoking information. And I'll also value the Taurus and the Venus and Taurus who came up with this information because it shows that you like it's just information that you can value. It probably brought a new thought to their mind. Where Venus and Libra may also say, you know, I'm gonna get the Honda Civic right now, but I'm gonna start saving up for a Bugatti. That way I could sell the Bugatti later and I could just keep on like driving my Honda Civic. And it's gonna allow me to like basically build money on that Bugatti, not mess it up, and also get to where I need to be for $100 a month. Right. Now let's say we got Venus and Scorpio. Now, with Venus and Scorpio, we're dealing with Venus valuing and appreciating fixed water. So that is Venus valuing and appreciating the fixation on earth or water, feelings, emotions, and intuition. So when we're valuing and appreciating the fixation on feelings, emotions, and intuition, we got to talk about time again. Now, Venus and Scorpio could come to the table and be like, you know what, Venus Libra, you got a point. Because just in about maybe, we'll have flying cars soon and things of that nature, whatever. Maybe in about 3 to 5 years, that Bugatti might go for close to like about tens of thousands, like a couple $1,000 or a couple $100,000. I don't know the numbers personally, but a couple $100,000, maybe even close to $1 million. They'll be sitting there and they'll value how they're able to conduct themselves in accordance to time. Or they're able to see the deeper value of whatever this is, which when this scenario, it has to do with cars and also cost efficiency and things of that nature now that we're up to this point. But they'll be able to value and appreciate basically what they can do over time or what they can build or how they can transform their circumstances in accordance to the possession at hand. We're dealing with Venus here. So we're talking about a physical based planet. We're talking about air or earth based scenarios. So that's why they're going to value it in that particular type of way, where it doesn't really get to the point where we're talking about feelings or emotions because it's practical matters. We're dealing with Venus. So now, if we're talking about Venus and Sagittarius, then we're talking about valuing and appreciating mutable fire. So, valuing and appreciating mutable adaptability and relatability to a point of view or expression. Now, basically, as you're able to tell, the Venus and Sag will 9 times out of 10 come in this scenario, repeating what everybody else is saying. But what is the intention here? The intention is to basically have a broader perspective of how you could go about something. Or like you could either go with just having a cost efficient, you could go with having a cost efficient, what's the word? Having a cost efficient car, or you could go with having a car that'll end up being like worth more later, right? So it's just the fact that they'll have options. They'll be able to channel into a broader perspective. They'll value that because their Sagittarius energy, which is all about like basically broadening your horizon, just broadening any situation, expanding upon it, gaining wisdom. They're gonna value that aspect of this scenario. Even if they don't go out and do this, that, and the third, it's just the fact that they have access to more options and they're made aware of these type of things. They're going to value that, right? So now, when it comes to Venus and Capricorn, which is Venus valuing and appreciating cardinal Earth, Venus valuing and appreciating cardinal initiating and creating Earth structure, stability, and practicality. Now we'll be able to actually apply this information. And what a Venus and Capricorn is going to be able to do majority of the time is carry out the information that they've been given in this scenario, aka they go get a Honda Civic and then they go get a Bugatti. They leave the Bugatti sitting wherever it's sat parked, and they drive their little Honda Civic, paying $100 a month on the gas, and they'll be able to appreciate the outcome because, like I said with Capricorn before, it equates to 10. So being one with opportunity. So now they're able to carry that situation out and have the opportunity of being financially stable while also gaining more money in the long run from that scenario. Okay. You can hire me to be your accountant if you want to. This is just an example. That's all I'm saying. It's just an example, but I do this. I'm calculative. I do the numbers in all types of ways and forms and whatever you like. You know that. So now if we're talking about Venus in Aquarius, with Venus in Aquarius, that's a valuing and appreciating fixed air. So Venus valuing and appreciating fixed, the fixation on air, thinking, communicating, and processing. So now let's say a Venus in Aquarius, they come in, they're saying the same thing as everybody else. But what are they going to do? They're going to value the knowledge that was put into this situation. They're going to also potentially value the fact that the Venus and Taurus was able to do some humanitarian type thing here where now there's a whole bunch of people who probably spent their money like crazy, was trying to figure out how they was going to pay the rent or whatever, and now they're able to appreciate these like this information more, and they're able to do something with this information. They might appreciate the fact that this humanitarian type situation played out. They might be appreciative that the person who's well off and has a lot of money, say the Venus and Aries, they trying to go get it. They got it like that, whatever. They trying to look cool and flashy in front of the girls. This might have brought to the table the understanding for Venus and Aries that, yeah, there's people out here who's struggling, who can't live how you living. That might make the Venus and Aries want to go and make a donation to these homeless shelters. I might want to give a job to a homeless person on the side of the street. So from all these potential outcomes of Venus and Aquarius, would 9 times out of 10 really appreciate that all this is going down, along with the fact that 9 times out of 10 of Venus and Aquarius will also like be able to put that in the arsenal of thought for something that they could go to if things ever go down bad, or if they just choose to go that route. Now they have that added to the arsenal of their thoughts and they'll remain fixated on that thought. Now they might be like, okay, whatever to that thought, because they do stocks and they make a lot of money off of that. They do Bitcoin, they do cryptocurrency. So they have better things in mind to where they ain't worried about nothing that's going on there, but they might still like the humanitarian aspect if they're to think about that aspect. It depends. Now, let's say we're dealing with Venus and Pisces, last but not least. Now, Venus and Pisces. Venus valuing and appreciating mutable water. So, Venus valuing and appreciating mutable, adapting and relating to water, feelings, emotions, and intuition. Now, what a Pisces might appreciate might be a lot like what the Aquarius appreciates when it comes to the humanitarianism of this whole situation. Basically, getting multiple people to resonate with more than just the physical aspect of things, where the Venus and Aries is looking at the situation like, I just want a flashy car, my dog. That's it. I'm trying to get the ladies. While there's other people here sitting here thinking about cost efficiency. There's other people sitting here thinking about like, well, resonating with cost efficiency and the potential of what could come from that. Resonating with um maybe say like somebody came into the picture, started talking about how there's cars that run off electricity and that could save the ozone layer from thinning and things of that nature. Now they might appreciate how people are able to resonate with that type of stuff, the fact that they're able to resonate with that type of stuff. And we could also say, think about um how everybody else feels when you have this gas guzzler going around spreading all this pollution. Why would you even want to buy a car like that in the first place? You're dealing with a Venus and Pisces. Now, let's say in a scenario, Venus and Pisces is um, a manipulative person, somebody who values the Pisces energy, but when it comes to manipulation, and it has to do with the manipulation of feelings and stuff like that. Now, let's say this Venus and Pisces, they might have a good intention behind this. They might say, "Oh, Venus and Aries, you got that little penis energy," and then they make the Venus and Aries be like, "You know what? I got a point to prove, man. I don't need that car to get no girls. I could do it. I could do it on my own. I could just go holler at a female and then just stop the Venus and Aries from walking around with this pollution spreader or driving around with this pollution spreader or something of that nature." I like that I could give y'all some off the wall topics and things of that nature. But yo, that's Venus and all signs for you. Like I say all the time, drop in the comments if you have any suggestions. If there's a better way I could explain this stuff, I will make new videos. No problem. But this is Jason the Chiron. I love y'all. I'm out. Doom, 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 doom.